I mean, is the answer as simple as they're not going to give Democrats anything, and maybe they think that this is going to hurt Democrats more?
The Federal Workers Union said this has to end.
You're not willing to acknowledge that politics is at play here.
What I'm saying is that the Democrats are playing politics with this shutdown.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Grab a seat because this one gets heated fast. Today we're dropping into a CNN NewsNight panel where Kasparian and Neera Tanden go head-to-head with White House voice Harrison Fields, all moderated by Abby Phillip, over the government shutdown and the very real question of whether hungry families lose their SNAP benefits while there's apparently money for everything else. It gets tense, it gets personal, and somebody ends up admitting something they really didn't want to say out loud. Stick with me all the way through, because the strongest moment doesn't land at the beginning. It sneaks up on you near the end, and you'll want to catch it. And while you're here, do me a quick favor and drop a comment telling me what city or country you're watching from. I genuinely love seeing how far this channel reaches. All right, enough from me. Let's get into it.
You know, this is the shutdown that could very well just not end because nobody seems to be that interested in ending it. But for Americans who are on SNAP, this weekend is going to be where they're going to have to face the reality that, honestly, $188 in this economy, it's not even a whole lot of money for food, but it's going to go away.
I mean, luckily we have the money to bail out Argentina to the tune of $40 billion. And by bailing out Argentina, of course, the Trump administration is helping to bail out the hedge funds invested in Argentina. It's not a good look when the Republican Party won't concede on the one thing that's important here, which is add the subsidies to the Affordable Care Act so people's health care premiums don't double. And that's it. That's what the Democrats are asking for. But Republicans refuse to sign on to that. And if we're going to keep having this dysfunctional government situation or congressional situation year after year, I mean, they're still collecting my taxes. Why are they collecting my taxes? For what? And what's the important work that Mike Johnson is doing right now and the Republicans are doing right now? Does anyone know? I mean, there's some Republicans on the panel right now. Can you guys tell me the important work they're doing?
All Republicans want is for Democrats to do what Democrats have demanded others do time and time again. What Democrats themselves have done, vote for clean CRs.
Do you think that premium should double?
This has been
Do you think premium
the
should
premium
double?
that your party chose to have subsidies.
This is a product of the Democratic Party's own doing.
Should the premiums double?
And now they're looking and they're trying to point the finger at the Republican Party.
It's a simple question. Should the premiums double?
Should they open up the government? The answer is yes.
The government will
open up the government
if they
we can get
give
into
the
those
Democrats the
negotiations.
one thing they're asking for, which is a just issue.
You want to talk about premiums, and we just talked about SNAP benefits. Who cares about health care when you cannot put food on the table? You have millions
SNAP
of
benefits
Americans.
are important too.
You have a lot of Americans that are going to be without food stamps.
So you want the
because of
Democrats to sign on to funding the government
And this is why
in a situation in which the premiums will double for Americans who already have a difficult time paying for their health insurance.
What is the difference? What is the difference of the bill? What is the difference for the bill that you voted for?
What is the difference?
There is a big difference.
This is the new Democratic Party.
I have to say, it's amazing to get lectures on how much you care about SNAP benefits.
Because I have family members on SNAP.
Well,
yes.
then why did you support the president when he asked for and got $186 billion of cuts to SNAP?
They were cleaning up the program from waste, fraud, and abuse.
Oh my
you and I
God,
both
that
know
is
that.
all ridiculous.
Because you cannot
people
have a program.
Go hungry
No.
From those SNAP
Straw man's
cuts.
argument.
No,
You
it's
cannot
not.
have
Those people. I'm sorry. You just paid for 186. You took $186 billion out of the SNAP program. $186 billion that will go
waste,
to
fraud, and
people.
abuse.
It's not waste, fraud, and abuse. It will. You like to say that, but it's actually false.
Look at what we actually
took the
did.
money, and you
but
took
this
the
is
money
the overall
for a
problem.
billionaire's
What you're
tax
mad
cut.
about is the passage of one big beautiful bill.
No,
you guys
I'm
have to
not.
realize that elections have consequences, and your side lost.
Hold on one second. Just on the waste, fraud, and abuse point. Over the last 15 years, SNAP fraud has fallen from 4% to 1%. So there's already very little fraud in the SNAP program, according to the government.
$180 billion is a lot more.
Dude, the Pentagon hasn't passed a single
regardless
audit.
of
This is the part that should make every single one of you furious. Because when Kasparian points out that somehow, magically, there was money to send $40 billion overseas to bail out Argentina, and by extension the hedge funds parked in Argentina, but suddenly there is no money to keep food on the table for hungry Americans, that contradiction tells you everything about who this government actually works for. You have to understand something. When the money exists for the wealthy and vanishes for the vulnerable, that is not an accident. That is a priority. That is a choice someone one made in a room, on purpose. And then Harrison Fields hits us with this line. He says, "Who cares about healthcare when you cannot put food on the table?" And I want to scream, because he is trying to sound like he cares about hungry families while defending the very people who created the hunger. You do not get to light the house on fire and then complain that it is warm in here, but here is the moment that genuinely blows my mind. Anna turns to him and says, "It is amazing to get lectures on how much you care about SNAP benefits." And that right there is the mask coming off. Because you cannot claim to be the champion of struggling families while cheering on a bill that ripped $186 billion out of the exact program those families depend on. The math does not care about your talking points. And when Harrison waves it all away as waste, fraud, and abuse, Anna comes back with a fact he clearly did not want on that table. She says over the last 15 years, SNAP fraud has fallen from 4% down to 1%. 1%. So where exactly is all this fraud he keeps promising? It does not exist in the numbers. It only exists in the excuse.
Regardless of that, I mean, people who are on the program right now are going to not have benefits. I think it's interesting because the Trump administration says, you know, there's $6 billion in the emergency fund. $8 billion is needed to cover the month of November. They're saying that they can't use that money because that money needs to be set aside for, you know, hurricanes and other emergencies. But they've been willing to move money around for all kinds of other reasons. Well,
for aviation safety.
All kinds of other, they've been willing to move money around for all kinds of other reasons. The question is, why not this one? Tara, let me let Tara have a moment.
We have to all acknowledge that these are political games that are being played by both sides.
Of course, it's politics.
The Democrats could
CR
open
is
the
not a
government
game.
tomorrow, but they are using an old Republican tactic of closing the government to have leverage right now.
Who closed the government?
This
This is the
a strange
Democrats who
thing.
closed it.
But they are doing it for leverage. And
Who? The Democrats
Republicans
are.
realize that the Democrats are not
You have the
holding,
number
so
two
now
in the
they are
House.
withholding SNAP
You have the
benefits,
number
which
two
they could
House
also
Democrats
do-
saying that this is a leverage
in
play.
In 2018, they had the same
It's
risk.
2025.
You just let
No,
her
in
finish for just a moment.
2018, they had the same risk of losing food stamps, SNAP benefits, and they went into another reserve to cover it during Trump's longest shutdown. Okay?
And that was the Trump
And
administration.
so the point is that both are withholding funds.
You all
and
are
a-
ignoring-
and ability-
you all are
if they would
ignoring-
just sit down and actually
So
talk
let me
through
let's
it,
just
having this
let's just address
conversation
what
at
she
all.
said because she's arguing, and I think there's good reason to believe that obviously there are political games being played here. Democrats are keeping the government shut down until they get concessions on health care. And the Trump administration, which in the past has used other funds to cover SNAP benefits, is not doing it now. Why?
Okay, we have to step back for a moment. The Democrats have been getting rolled for the past 9 months by the President of the United States. They haven't had an answer for how to get after what the President has been doing, his historic agenda. So now they have their rally around the flag moment. We're going to stick it to Trump. Who they're really sticking it to is the American people. They are holding this government hostage for what?
Let's just
If
address.
you open
let me
up
address
the
question
government,
that
we
I
can get to
asked
these
you.
negotiations about
No.
SNAP.
Let me re-ask you the question that I asked you, which is that we know that the Trump administration of the past has been willing to use other funds to cover SNAP benefits. We know that the Trump administration of present has been willing to use other funds to cover other emergency needs for people that need to be paid. Why will they not do this on the issue of food on the table for children under 5, children 5 to 17,
very clear of who's going to be impacted.
Adults over 60 years old, people with disabilities? I mean, is the answer as simple as they're not going to give Democrats anything, and maybe they think that this is going to hurt Democrats more?
If
That's
you
exactly
open up the
right.
government, guess
That's
what
exactly
happens?
right. But-
People get SNAP
but
benefits again. You're pointing the finger at the President of the United States when it's the Democratic Party that is holding the government hostage. Who came out today and said this shutdown has to end?
She's able to sort of put the politics on the table.
The Federal Workers
You're
Union
not
said this has to
acknowledging-
end.
You're not willing to acknowledge that politics is at play here. Is
What
it at
I'm
play?
saying is that the Democrats are playing politics with this shutdown.
And here's what people do not realize about the whole both sides routine. When Tara jumps in and says, these are just political games being played by both sides, it sounds reasonable, it sounds fair and balanced, but it is a trap because treating both sides as equally guilty erases a simple fact. One side is asking to keep health premiums from doubling on working people. The other side is sitting on the money that feeds hungry kids and choosing not to use it. Those are not the same thing. Do not let anyone flatten them into the same thing. Then Harrison tries this dramatic reframe where he claims the Democrats have been getting rolled for 9 months, and this is just their rally around the flag moment. And let me break down why that is so slippery. He wants you focused on the strategy, so you stop looking at the substance. He wants this to be a story about political ego, instead of a story about families losing groceries. Classic misdirection. Watch the hand that is moving so you miss the hand that is still. But this is where Abby Phillip does something I really respect as a moderator. She refuses to let him escape into vibes. She keeps him pinned to the actual question. She asks, why will they not do this on the issue of food on the table for children under 5, for kids 5 to 17, for adults over 60, for people with disabilities? Say that list out loud again. Those are the people we are actually arguing about. And then Abby lands the question that has no good answer for the other side. She asks, is the answer as simple as, they are not going to give Democrats anything, even if it means real people go hungry, because they think it hurts Democrats more? That is the whole game exposed in one sentence.
Have Republicans done it in the
Both
past?
sides are playing politics. It's very
1000%.
clear.
Granted, hold on one second.
We need
Granted,
4
hold on one
Democrats
second,
in the
Harrison.
Senate. 4.
Granted, the Democrats are playing politics with the shutdown.
With American people's
They are
lives.
playing the very same shutdown game that Trump and Republicans played in his first administration on
Are
several
we dealing with the
occasions.
shutdown of 2018?
But now you're
Can I
playing
have
the
a
one
second?
about
Let's
it,
talk
right?
about
You're
today.
playing
I'm
the
just
one
saying,
about it.
these are political games. Hold on a second.
But you know
No,
what?
no,
The
you
people
just-
on
you
SNAP
just hold on a
benefits
second.
don't care about
I'm
that.
asking you.
They don't care about it.
Will you acknowledge that the withholding of SNAP benefits in this moment is something that Trump doesn't have to do?
The administration can look at many ways to solve this problem. Look at what they're doing for our troops. Look at what they're doing for aviation safety. Is there a way to do it? I bet you Secretary Rollins is looking at it.
So
But the
there is.
one
Okay,
thing,
so I
can you
appreciate
acknowledge,
that.
can you acknowledge that if the Democrats open up the government, we don't have to have a conversation about
Can I
SNAP?
just make a point
Hold
here?
on one second, everybody. Just a second. Let me just say, I appreciate that you acknowledge that there are options on the table. They're not being utilized.
If you could
The
acknowledge that the
second-
Democrats
but the
can open up the
secondary-
government and this problem won't be a problem.
literally
You
just
don't
said
think that one
The
concession to
secondary-
Democrats is okay? Like just
It's not
one
it's not
concession,
just
which is
one
the
concession.
subsidies for the
No.
Affordable Care
Not
Act,
to
so
show-
premiums
to hold
don't
up this
double.
entire
That's
government?
the one thing they're asking for.
When we got people on furlough?
One
No.
thing.
Hold on,
Can
let
I
me
just
just
Because we
let-
know
can I
what
just-
this
No,
actually is
because we
about.
love that premiums
Because
are
you're
going to
mad-
double.
because
We
you're
love
mad
it.
that
We
we
love it.
passed
Like, let
one
all
big,
these
beautiful
Americans
bill.
suffer.
Just
I
a
think we're
second.
really
Go
sad
ahead.
about
Go ahead,
guys.
Sharon. Go ahead.
Can I just say how I predict this will end? This will end. I'm not sure who will wave the white flag first. I doubt it will be Trump, but he will end up giving the concession of the subsidies. He's already said it. He knows that it's
Yeah.
impacting.
He
Why not do
said
it
it.
now?
Watch how fast Harrison retreats the second the pressure gets real. Both sides are playing politics. It is very clear. He keeps repeating, like a life raft. And you have to understand why he keeps swimming back to that phrase. It is because he has nowhere else to go. When you cannot defend the outcome, you attack the process. When you cannot win on the food, you argue about the fight. But then comes the moment that I think is the most important exchange in this entire clip, and it is easy to miss. Abby asks him directly, is there a way to solve this? And Harrison, cornered, actually says it. He says, yes, there is. He admits it. There is a way to feed these families right now. He just spent the whole segment pretending there was not, and the truth slipped out anyway. Once you concede the option exists, every excuse before it collapses. You cannot say we are helpless, and then say of course we could do it. Pick one. And here is the piece of this that I think matters beyond today. History has shown us this exact playbook before. During the long shutdown back in 2018, when SNAP was at the very same risk, the administration in charge reached into another reserve and covered it. It was done. It was possible. So the idea that nobody can move a dollar to feed a child is not a rule of nature. It is a decision being made right now by people who could decide differently. That is why Anna refuses to let the healthcare point get buried. The one thing being asked for is subsidies for the Affordable Care Act so premiums do not double on ordinary people. That is it. That is the hostage negotiation. And when she says sarcastically that, oh yes, we just love that premiums are going to double, we love watching Americans suffer, that sarcasm is doing real work. It is exposing how absurd it is to frame protecting people as some radical demand. And the ending? Anna basically predicts the whole thing folds eventually, that the concession comes in the end anyway. So her final question hangs there like a challenge nobody wants to answer. Why not do it now? Why make families starve through the waiting? If the answer is already yes, the cruelty was never necessary. So what do you guys think of this? Leave your thoughts down in the comments. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.